Sup peeps, my name's Ian. I sell books on eBay and Vinted, and I've got a few orders going out today, so I thought I would share them with you. Just once again, you can see that you can make money selling low value stuff. It can take a wee bit of time, and it would be great to find 10 things that make you £100 profit every single day. Is that going to happen? Depends on your sourcing opportunities. But for me, for the most part, I stick to just picking up a lot of low value stuff, which I have learned over the last few years and on Vinted over the last year or so, that will sell reasonably well at a reasonable pace. Even though it's not for an awful lot of money, it just keeps, doubling up your cash all the time. So that's what today's all about. 30 odd Vinted orders going out. I've got half a dozen eBay, although I've only got one of the eBay orders picked so far. I need to go and get the other 5 bundles as usual. Apart from the one that I've got here, it's not a bundle, it's on its own. So let's start there. When we're talking about opportunities to pick books up, I always look for potential collections. Some of the sourcing I do is just off charity shop shelves. Some of it is I've got access to special picks, shall we say, and some of the stuff it's just connections I've made along the way where people have passed my name on, my details on, and folk are just wanting to clear out the stuff from their home, so I go and get that directly from them. So there are a few different ways of doing it. One of the collection type things that I keep my eye out for is if you see, even in the charity shops, if there's a bundle of similar fantasy or science fiction or horror on the shelves, it's always worth a wee ask if, do you know if this was part of a larger donation, because I'm really interested in these books, and if you've got more of them, it would be great. And you might get access to them. Somebody might say, oh yeah, they come in a bag or a box. Here's the rest of them to have a look at, and it might pay off. And I pick up like that at the weekend. Saturday morning, 50 or 60 kind of vintage sci-fi and fantasy books, a lot of which I've sold already. This is one from a previous collection I picked up that way. It's J.J. Ballard, The Unlimited Dream Company. Now, the thing with these books is you need to wait until the right buyer comes along. If it's modern, new fantasy, say The Devils by Joe Abercrombie, and you pick up a copy of that and you list it at a decent price, it's going to sell pretty darn quick. These can take a little longer if you want to wait and get a reasonable price. You can chuck them out for £1. You'll get rid of them very quickly, but sometimes it's worth pricing them up a little bit. So let's say The Unlimited Dream Company, J.J. Ballard. Lovely paperback version there. UK £1.25, which makes it an oldie. Where are we? It is. So this is the first paperback from Triad Granada, 1981, and it sold for £12 exactly. So there we go. That's a little paperback on its way out the door, which I need to just get packed up and sorted whilst I'm working through everything else, because otherwise it'll get buried in the bundle of vintage stuff and I'll end up shipping it off with a bunch of kids' books, which would not be a good thing. It's going to be a small parcel, I think. So let's get the shipping label sorted out. And it's less than a kilo, which means I can send it with Vinted. Now, different carriers have had different reputations of late. I found that Vinted and InPost at the moment, despite how they've been in the past, are actually pretty reliable. Every, I don't touch for now. That's even on the advice of the Every drivers who deliver stuff to me, where other people do ship it by Every. Let's just print that off. Yodel and InPost seem to be doing okay, like I say. So I'm quite happy to use them for, a lot of my parcels that will fit within their criteria, because for lightweight parcels, you're saving nearly £1 over Royal Mail. And just trimming a bit of card for this little deal. And once you get, 0 to 1 kilos, you save £1 over Royal Mail. 1 to 2, Royal Mail's kind of the best way to do it. And then 2 to 5, again, Yodel. It saves you, well, more than £1. It's about £1.50 you save using Yodel once you go beyond that one. So it means that you can sell stuff a bit cheaper, and it gives you that competitive edge when trying to actually turn a profit. Right, so what we're doing with this one is I just keep strips and stacks of card. I'm always looking for boxes. Mostly I chop them up because I use them to wrap particular things. So we could wrap that up in some bubble mail as well, but I think it will go into one of my wee bubble mailers. So the card gives it a good solid structure. And then the bubbles stop the bounce. Which, once it's all sealed up, there you go, nice wee parcel, ready to go. Dead easy. So 12 quid, first eBay sale, and until I've picked the rest, the last eBay sale. Throw that in my pile of yodels to godels. So 28th of the 4th. As I'm doing my shipping through the day, because I don't do it all in one go, I'll take a wee note of how much is going to Yodel Royal Mail, and then I can put that all into my bookkeeping by itself, which makes life slightly more straightforward later on. Right, Vinted. Let's go to the Vinted hors d'oeuvres. Hors d'oeuvres, even what are you talking about? Nobody really knows. Anyway, how y'all doing? This is second video in a week, which has not been like me of late. I've been finding it really difficult to get videos out lately. There's just so much to do, so much going on, and trying really hard to get ahead of the curve. I had an order a few weeks ago for like 25 books. Well, 5 lots of 5, but 25 separate orders within it. Put it on a big box, sent it by DPD, next day delivery. According to the tracking, it never left the shop. Of course it did. I did go to the shop, and a customer had messaged me and said, what's going on? So like, let me check and see. Before I could get back to them, get to the shop, make sure it wasn't still sitting in a dusty corner, they'd raised a item not received request for every single item individually. So it didn't come up as any marks, any flags against us on eBay, because I just was refunding them anyway. But 25 item not received took forever going through, because then you have to go in and refund every single item separately rather than just the orders altogether. And the sale stopped. For about 2 weeks, I was getting pretty much nothing through eBay whatsoever. So I've still not had a refund from DPD for the £50 order and the £7 in postage that I spent with them. And sales dropped over that period by about £1,300 profit. So nearly £2,000 in sales. I just didn't get over that period. And that's been really, 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 really painful. So still chasing my tail, trying to make up for that. Putting in the extra effort. I'm doing about an extra 20-30 quid a day at the moment, but that's going to take a lot of days to make back what I've missed out on there, which, pays the bills. So DPD, thank you very much. Not only have you lost my parcel, you nearly cost me my house. Yes, DPD, that's for you. Anyway, let's carry on. We have The 100 Years' War by Desmond Stewart, and it's a big hardcover, and it's sold for, let me find it, should be at the top, it is, there we go, £2. This was a Facebook Marketplace pickup last summer, nearly a year ago. Something popped up, a lady moving house, I think her husband had passed, and she was downsizing, and she had a big house. So she was clearing out a huge collection of books, his and hers, I mean, hundreds and hundreds. So I was second to get in touch. Somebody beat me to it to get the really good stuff. But I did pick up a very, very full carload of books from her, which is very generous. A lot of historical fiction, a lot of which is sold, and a lot of non-fiction books, such as that one there, which I've still got about 5 boxes of them sitting as I work through them. And they're just slowly selling. It's like 2 hours away from here to go and get them, so I'm glad it paid off. And it was a free, she was just looking to clear stuff, so it cost me whatever it cost to drive from where I am all the way up to where she was, and back again. A good half a day's time to do it all, and yeah, it's been quite profitable. So, you know, that's another sourcing opportunity. Keep your eyes on Marketplace, local notice boards, whatever it might be, and you never know what you might be able to pick up and find. I don't get many pickups that way because I don't look for many that way. Typically, I have enough, more than enough to process through. If I spent more time going and doing things like that, I would never get anything else done. And today, to be honest, it's going to be quite a good example of that. I've got an errand to run in the middle of the day that'll take an hour or so, which is 40-50 listings not getting done on Vinted in that time, which means I've got to work into the evening, which isn't really that big a deal, just sit in front of the telly and rattle in a few details, but it means that I wouldn't be able to go and do any kind of sourcing today, because I need to spend the morning before that picking and packing and getting all of this sorted out, putting stuff away that I listed yesterday. Got a couple of shelves to organise so that I've got the right amount of space for listing more stuff. And then after that, 2 or 3 hours listing frenzy to try to make up that DPD kick in the teeth that really absolutely scunnered me, absolutely. But we're early in the day, so we'll hopefully catch up. Right, let's get this beast printed. It keeps telling me I'm out of ink, but I'm not. And it keeps reminding me I need to check to make sure I've actually got another toner cartridge. Let's change that to A4. Because if I haven't, I'll need to order one. Unused, good. So we can keep that safe over there. Right, let's stick this one on. That's 2 orders done out of 40ish. Flying through. It's only taken me 13 minutes. Let's fold it and go. That's right. Obviously, this is not representative of how long it takes to actually like pick and pack, because if I'm not chattering away, I can just rattle through it. It's a heck of a lot quicker. For this volume of orders, I would expect to spend maybe an hour or so doing all of the packing. So it'll probably take me longer than that doing it this way. But we'll see. Let's get back to the orders. Right, what came next? Bumps in the Night. There you go. Bumps in the Night. I stuck up about 40, 50 new kids books yesterday. And whenever I do that, they always typically a chunk sell fast, and that's exactly what's happened. That went for £1. Look at that, a mighty pound. And let's just see how we're sending this one. It's Royal Mail. I had a feeling it was. Cool. Once again, this is where the cardboard comes in handy. That could get scunnered in the post. So I'll take a little bit of card and just make a backing for it, which is a couple of quick cuts. Well, that's the wrong piece. I'm doing a couple of quick cuts and then I go and use the off cut, thinking that I've done it. There we go, that's us now. So yeah, we've got a wee card backing for it, and then it can go straight in a bag. Just like that, and that should stop it getting messed about. Kids' books are, I find, very easy to source. There's some places around here who want to sell them, you know, at like adult book prices, but a lot of places do them an awful lot cheaper. You know, they'll do 5 for £1 or 3 for £1 or 4 for £1. It tends to be in that kind of area, which means that selling a Vinted, you can sell them for £1 and you're still making your money. I find them even cheaper than that some places, to be honest, but assuming it was 20p, sell it for £1, 20p to buy it, well, a few pence in packaging materials, so the profit on that is about 75p, minimum 75p, which I know it doesn't sound a lot of money, but it all adds up. And this is very much a case of looking after the pennies so that the pounds will take care of themselves. There's my Royal Mail. Put that in the right Royal Mail pile. Right, let's see if we can rattle through some more of these. Master of Middle-earth. This is another one that came from the fantasy pickup I did just the other day. So there we go, Master of Middle-earth, but it's not by J.R.R. Tolkien, it's the achievement of J.R.R. Tolkien by Paul Kocher, yeah, however you say it. Again, it's a wee vintage paperback, and it's sold for a whopping £3. So, pricing these things, there's the eBay price, which you can kind of use as a guide for a Vinted price, but for the most part it's kind of irrelevant. You might even be able to sell it for more on Vinted than you can on eBay, which surprised me when that started happening. But it's people are using different platforms. You know, a lot of folks just aren't bothering with eBay, they're straight on to things like Vinted. So they've not got the same price awareness as what, oh well, I could get that on eBay for, they can buy it on Vinted for. And on Vinted, the price is £1, they're choosing their own postage. And they pay a fee to Vinted on top of that, so I wouldn't say it muddies the waters, but it means that you can price differently on this platform rather than the other. The New English Bible, imitation leather bound black 1970 hardcover. Yes, I sell Bibles. There you go, lovely, nice vintage Bible in its slipcase. I've heard a couple of resellers, typically over in the States, saying, oh, we don't sell Bibles, we give them away. Right. Collins, okay, like that. It's Harper Collins now. Do they open up a factory, churn all of these out and go, by the grace of whatever, here, have them all for free. We're going to go bankrupt, you have all of these free. No, they make them, they sell them, they make a profit. Those that publish Bibles make a fortune from it. Not a small fortune, a fortune from it. Bibles are massively profitable for certain companies. So I have zero qualms about reselling such things. There are a few free Bible suppliers, but not many, and certainly not ones like that. If it's a slightly antiquated, fancy family Bible, that family paid a fortune for that book. I wouldn't give that away for nothing. Anyway, yes, I sell Bibles. I sell for £6. Selling them on eBay, and I get £10 to £12 for them. So £6 straight sale in Vinted works out kind of the same. I think I had it listed for a tenner. I might have had it only listed for £6, but it's sold for £6 either way. And again, that's part of one of my usual cheap pickups. Keeping the buy price low so that you can sell at a profit. RM Dodds. But you can work out yourself. If I see these for £2 to £3 in a lot of charity shops, I don't always pick them up. It just depends how many I've got sat on hand. But pick it up for £3, sell it for £6, you've doubled your money. So although it's not a huge profit, it might still be worthwhile to you. You decide. They can sit for a long time, they can sell really quickly. It's one of those items. So yeah, very much you decide, but you never ever know. Lots of single books today, and they're all going by Royal Mail. You're not going to hate me today because I'll have loads of labels needing printed. Anatomy, a love story by, what's her name? Dana Schwartz. There you go. It's a book. Hazel Sinnott is a lady who wants to be a surgeon more than she wants to marry. Jack Curer is a resurrection man who's just trying to survive in a city where it's too easy to die. Edinburgh, 1817. A gothic tale full of mystery and romance. Anyway, I sold for £1. We'll chuck it in a doodah. Now, see these envelopes? I'm paying like 12p each for them because I just buy them 100 at a time. 2p. So why am I using that? Because it's quicker and easier, and when I've got a whole load to do, it just, maybe it gives me a false something or other, but it feels like I get through stuff a whole lot quicker. Anyway, that's going to Sarah, and it's another Royal Mail, like I said. I've got a load of Royal Mail already. Get shipping label, open QR code, screenshot. You're getting all the printed labels for Vinted. At first I didn't do it properly, and you're going through every single thing you've sold going, was that it, was that it, was that it? Now I just take screenshots of all the QR labels, so they're just sitting in my photo gallery, and just scroll through them so I know where they all are. Nobody's interested in these things, but I'm telling you them anyway. Lolita, Vladimir Nabokov. This book always sells. I mean, it's a classic. A lot of people disapprove of it because of the subject material that's out there and known. It's another Royal Mail book. But to be honest, it's really just a comedy. If you haven't read it, it is worth reading. I read it a long time ago. Can't remember if it was part of a study thing or what, but kind of when I was schoolish type age, we read that one. It's a bit of a vintage copy of that, and it sold for £2 because it's not in the best condition. But Lolita sells. I had a Nabokov book the other day, sold for over £20. Again, it's a kind of charity shop find that you would see in a normal charity shop for £2 or £3. In a cheap charity shop, and it'll be in the everything for a pound pile. Molly. No, now, I'm complaining about, oh, these are all Royal Mail. It's not really a complaint. I would love it if they were all Royal Mail, because it's somebody else's problem printing off the labels, as it were, rather than me having to do all of that just now, which takes so much longer than doing it this way. What have we got next? Another book for 2 squids. This time it is L.J. Ross, The Cove. Lovely condition. Another author who sells quick and easy a lot of the time. It's a modern author, so condition is a lot more key, obviously. If you can slightly battered copy of that, you'll sell it for £1, no problem. But if you can get a nice clean copy and you're picking it up for, you know, 3, 4, 5 for £1, then that's a nice couple of quid profit. And it's another Royal Mail. This is absolutely boggling. This time I am going to use a little bag because it's just a bit too chunky to cram into a mailer without damaging the corners. And damaged corners are the most common complaint I've ever seen. Well, actually, that's not true. I've never had that complaint, but I've had a lot of people requesting that make sure you package it so the corners don't get bashed when it drops through the letterbox, which is a fair request to make, one that I've always taken into account. So when I put it in a bit of bubbles, I always make sure that I square wrap the ends so there's a bit of protection on those. When it does fall, those corners and ends are protected. Just, you know, whatever laws of physics dictate it, when it falls, it'll be short end that will typically hit first, so therefore make sure them's corners is protected. RM, let's go to Barbara. There we go. Another one in the pile. Get shipping label, open QR code, copy it, and on to the next, which is a bundle of 3. 3? Where's that bundle of 3? What ones are they? Is it the Nemo? Oh, it's the Nemo bundle. Okay, dog, this will be a printable label. Yeah, I knew it would. I just had a feeling. I feel it in my something. Doobie doobie doo. Oh man, I'm just so musical. It's almost frightening how talented I am. Right, a bundle of 3 items for £3. It's more kiddies books. We've got some Nemo. We've got some, is it Tangled? Yes, it's Tangled. And Dear Zoo, Rod Campbell. £3. £3. So this is all of them listed yesterday. When I'm doing kids books, it's usually get about 50 an hour, sometimes more, listed. So that gives you an idea of what it takes to, you know, the overall requirement to make £3. Because £3, who wants to make just £3? Not many folk. But let's say it took me 4 minutes to list them. It's difficult to put any kind of time on the sourcing because, well, I could go out and pick up 50 books and it could take me half an hour. I could pick up 500 books and it could take me an hour. So sourcing time, yeah, pretty negligible. And packing it and sorting the label takes me another minute. So it would be a wee bit quicker if I wasn't blabbering on. But not much. Not much. The biggest time issue I've got with these at the moment is my different tech has stopped talking to each other, so I'm having to use this laptop to print the labels. And it's just slower. Every step, it's not just click, 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 it's click, wait for it to decide what it's going to do. Click, wait for it to decide what it's going to do. So on and so forth. Let's see which the next one is where it starts going. Claire Douglas. 3 books. Sold for £5. just put this label on, and then we'll get back to them. So, I'm just curious, has anybody found the secret formula for reselling success? No? It would be great. I really wish there was one. But there's not. I don't think many resellers on YouTube or any other platforms claim that there is. But there are a lot of these 5 things, these 10 things. I've tried to make those videos myself, but as I get through them, they always feel like a lot of nonsense. But these things will make you a success. No, they bloody won't. There's thousands, millions of people trying to do this to make money. Claire Douglas, 3 paperbacks, sold as a bundle, £5. One of the authors have found that when I pick up one of her books, it's worth just sitting on it until I pick up some more, and I'll end up with a bundle of 3 or 5 or whatever. And as soon as I put them up like that, they sell quite quickly. And instead of £1 a book, or £1.50 a book, I can get like a £5 for 3. So they're worth doing that way. Let's just find the label for it. Yeah, thousands, millions of people do the whole reselling thing. A handful of successful people will tell you about it. People, where is it? Here it is. People who are willing to stand up and tell you about stuff, typically they're confident doing things like this. I don't know if I am or not. I try not to think about it and I just talk. They've had success. They may have had some failure along the way, but probably not. They've just lucked out, essentially. Now, you make your own luck up to a point. You've got to go out and you've got to do the right things. Most of us don't know what the right things are until we've done them. And only then can we turn around and say, I was successful because you didn't know that was going to work. It was luck. There are other people who will be doing exactly the same thing and getting nowhere. And they don't know why. They just know that that hasn't worked for them. So what I always think would be a lot more valuable is, rather than this is what I've done to become successful, is hearing from all the people who aren't that successful. Kind of like myself. I scrape a living doing this. I'm being honest, this is not like, yeah, new car. I am scraping by doing this. And it's just, you know, I'd rather be poor and not stressing my brains out in an office somewhere than stressing my brains out in an office somewhere and being poor. So let's hear from all those folk who are not necessarily failing, but struggling, who don't manage to monetize their business in the ways that, you know, the big popular videos on YouTube, you know, the chances are those making them are making the same, if not more, from the social media side as they are from the reselling business. Full transparency, I had one really good month a long time ago where I think I made nearly 200 quid on YouTube, and that was like, wow, that's fantastic. But typically it's 40 to 50 quid a month, so every couple of months I'll get a wee payout from YouTube, which doesn't cover much of anything. It's very nice to get, don't get me wrong, but it's not a profitable thing. But those that have put, let's say, be honest, those that put the effort in do an awful lot better. And when you have that extra cushion, it's easier to make being a full-time reseller a success. Because although they're a full-time reseller, they're making another 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, £100,000 a year on the social media side of things, which means that they can actually afford to be a reseller because it's a second income compared to the social media side. So those who are really just resellers, and that's where 99% of your income comes from, it's a different place altogether. You can't afford to reinvest everything into new stock or a warehouse or whatever it is you're doing, because you need to pay bills with other business expenses or taking money out for yourself. You got to pay that, you got to find that, you got to do that, and that can really limit how fast, how well you can expand what you are doing. Got a bundle of 5 next for £6. So it would be good to hear from the normies rather than just those that are experiencing that success. How do people actually do this who are just trudging through, getting the job done on a day-to-day basis? £6, 5 books. Lisa Jewell, Breaking the Dark. I found this one quite recently. I've picked it up a couple of times since, but it's a Marvel book by Lisa Jewell. Who'd have thunk it? The Truth About Melody Brown by Lisa Jewell. The Night She Disappeared by Lisa Jewell. The New Wife, J.P. Delaney, and Swept Away by Beth O'Leary. Again, most of these are pretty recently listed. That's what happens in Vinted. You list stuff, it sells. If it doesn't sell straight away, it's going to take a while, or it won't sell at all. And you need to find a rhythm that works for you to deal with that. Oh, this is taking way too long today. I've got to keep an eye on the time. We're at 20 to 9. The Royal Mail place shuts at 10. So I need to be out of here for 9:30. And then I go down to the Royal Mail, pick up, drop off the parcels I've got. The storage that I use is right next to the Royal Mail place, so I can then pop straight in there and pick the rest of the orders. Then off to the Yodel Impost shop, drop off all of that stuff. Back here, pack up the last orders. And then normally it would be onto listing. If I've got any fresh eBay stock to add to my multi-listings, get that done. And then just work through vintage stock, usually like 20 at a time, 20, 20, 20, 20. So it'll be 20 DVDs, 20 fiction books, 20 hardcovers, 20 kids books, 20 non-fiction books, and I just do them in chunks that way till hopefully I've got 100 plus listings sat there waiting. And then when 6 o'clock rolls round, I'll start just popping up a few over the course of the evening. And that seems to work the best. I got about 160 listings yesterday. I just had a bit more time during the day, got started earlier, which means I got finished with all the stuff earlier, no other distractions, and just battered through to like 4 in the afternoon listing stuff, and then in the evening just on the phone and drop a few as time goes by up to about 9:30, and it turns into sales. So if you want to succeed, that's how you do it. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Not had much company lately, so the voices have started creeping out. I have to be very careful. If I do that in public, I'll end up battered or arrested or locked up one way or another. But you hear them in your head. Standing up or lying in bed. And the nonsense that comes out just can't be stopped. Yes, see the problem? Right, Right, what's next? Well, obviously it's going to be books, isn't it? Or is it? I've found a couple of slightly different things lately that I've picked up just to try. Funnily enough, they haven't sold, but they will at some point, like D&D games and stuff. A vintage James Bond murder mystery game, which actually looks quite good fun. But paying like 8, 12 plus pounds for them. So I don't know if it's worth it. But if they sell, I'll make a wee profit on them, and it just gives something else in the shop. Another Royal Mail book. Holly Hepburn, Heartbreak at Somewhere or Other. Healing Hearts on Thistledown Lane by Holly Hepburn there. Nailed it first time. If I edit this, it was first time. Probably won't edit it, so it won't be. Let's put a wee wrap on that and stick it in a bag. I was offered a book at the weekend. And I really hummed and hawed. So if anybody wants it, let me know. But Tad Williams signed first edition, and they're selling for good money. Well, if you look at eBay, 80, 150, 300 pounds for signed Tad Williams books. But all the ones that are selling tend to be the Broken Brinding editions that have come out quite recently, not like the original first editions. And the wee shop was wanting an awful lot of money for it, and it would have been an expensive tie-up if it didn't sell straight away. But let's just say, if it sold for 100 quid, I could have doubled my money. If it sold for 100 quid on Vinted. If it sold for 100 quid on eBay, then I'd make 10, 15 pounds for a £50 investment. Not really worth it. So if anybody desperately wants that book that I've not been able to tell you what it is, let us know. I'll pick it up, sell it on to you for £500-600. But it's really just an example, yet again, of that if you're consistent in your sourcing, i.e. you keep going to places and you keep spending money with them, you keep buying stuff, they'll turn around and go, oh, by the way, if you're interested, we might just have, and there you go, you get better stuff, first dibs, if you want to put it that way, or however you want to put it. It can help. We've got a DVD next, so we've got a wee bit of bubble to put in the middle. Bus 174, again, listed yesterday, sold straight away. Squids, by that I mean £1. And let's get the shipping label. What's in there? Still got so much to get through here. It's ridiculous. Could be here for hours, people. Hours. Anyway, I'll do as much as I can before I need to go to Royal Mail, and then I'll come back and do the rest. It's no biggie. Let's refresh that so that it actually produces the label. I'm just narrating what I'm doing, i.e. clicking the mouse, and then we click print shipping label, and then we wait 15 minutes for that screen to load up, and then we click on the wee print icon, and then we wait even longer for it to go, oh yeah, there is a printer connected, fantastic, and then we click the print button, and then wait another half hour for that to travel a foot through cables and come out the printer. I may have exaggerated all the timings there slightly, but good, whatever. We have a label, which we'll just put a couple of wee folds in it. Thank you for those that have made various suggestions and offered advice on how to do this quicker. I've tried it, and it's quicker just to fold, snip, snip, and then stick it down than it is to move on to this, rotate that way, change size, put it over here. Which, yes, I concede that it does only take a few seconds, but so does doing that. So I just do that. Right, next. Why am I using multiple devices to do this? Because I'm awkward. No, I can more quickly check to see whether or not it's a Royal Mail or a in post on the phone. And then if it's an in post, I just need to go into it on the laptop to produce the label. If it's Royal Mail, I just stay on the phone because that's where I get the QR code. Get the shipping label, printable label. Click, then I have to refresh to get it to show me it, and then I have to remember what book it is, and it's my first 100 words in French. Good condition, not great. It's a little bit grubby on the outside, but it's absolutely fine on the inside. So £1. It's nothing spectacular. It is just a quick and easy seal. And you put one wee layer bubbles around that one. A little bit of tape to hold all that together. Again, the bubbles are more for the corners than anything else. And into a bag it goes. It should go sideways. And then let's go over and keep the printy thing going. We click that in between doing other things, it reduces the amount of time taken. See, that was almost seamless, almost seamless. Now I just need to stand and scratch my chin for a brief moment, waiting for the printer to kick in. And whilst that's doing, I can go on and check the next order, which is going to be another Royal Mail. There you go. Folds. See, how's business for everyone else? Good, bad, indifferent? What have you tried that's not worked so we know to avoid? What have you done that's made you millions of pounds? I'm guessing those that have had success, it's probably been down to picking up good stuff to sell. Yeah, am I right? Am I right? Am I right? Am I right? Where's this bundle? Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold your horses. Aye, I've not picked that one yet. See, tripped myself up there. That's one that's in the unit. This one's not. And it is also a in post. So we can go and get that bit of the process started whilst we prepare the parcel. Where are we? There we go. Isabella tree. No, it's a metal thing that goes ding dong, ding dong. A tree's something completely different. But Isabella tree, rope wilding. Grammatically that sounds terrible, but it's a person's name. Isabella tree. No, it's a metal thing that goes ding dong. Wilding. This again, another book that always sells really quickly, especially when it's in very good condition. £2. So not a making so much money. Just a quick and easy sale. You get it, you list it, it sells. I don't know how many times a week you could do that if you had like an unlimited supply. But it's something every few weeks I'll find a copy or two, and they always sell. Clicking buttons. So I'll keep selling them. Right, I'll give this one a wrap up because it's just a little too chunky for a mailer. It'll probably fit in a mailer, but again, I don't want to risk damaging it. It's such a lovely condition book. Much easier just to wrap it and bag it. wrap it and bag it. Down, down, through the bag it goes. Oh, he's on a haver again. Let's do that, let's do that. Oh, it's about gone now. Let's see that. You pick up these, you know, the peely strips, and they're static. My bin's just down there, so I'll just chuck them in the general direction of the bin and then clear them all into it later on. But there was one stuck to my hand the other day with a static, and I flicked it twice and punched the edge of that. Jesus wept. Blood everywhere, man. Well, not quite that bad, but it was messy and it was painful. You know, I've become very aware of that now. We learn our lessons, don't we? Anywho, while it's getting a label, snip the lip. On it goes. Use your fingers, not your toes. Right, next up. We shall go to, right, let's see this next one. I recognise that's one that I need to pick. But we've got the dinosaur that pooped a monster. Another type of book that sells pretty much as soon as you can get them. Again, with these, I typically just wait until I've got like a wee bundle collection of them and stick them up for a few quid. But I just put this one up yesterday because it was there. What can I say? But it is the dinosaur that pooped a monster. I think it's relatively new, that one, because I've not seen it before. That means it could be 5 years old. Let's find it. Oh, there's another order come in. The dinosaur that pooped a monster, going by in post. So print the label, print the label, print the label, refresh the page. Is that going to be big enough? No. You trim another bit in a second, but let's go to print the label and print the label now whilst the machines are all talking to each other. We'll get this, work out where the cut needs to go. Yeah. Uncle Stanley, and carefully trim across there so it's what it needs to be, and then we can print the label, stuff the parcel. Delicately slide that in. Fold that there. Fold that. And that. Snip, 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 snip. Also, the cut-offs from that kind of go down like wee Sycamore Street helicopters, which I quite like. I'll stick it on. And how's the time? God, it's 5 to 9. I really need to get a move on. Plonk that one down there. And see what else we've got. I know we've still got a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. At least 14 more orders to go just now. At least. I think it might be more than that. It's me just kind of guessing where there might be bundles or not. I hate it when it does that. It gives you like double orders for things. So you've got to force it to refresh. There we go, that's better. My vest is white. And it's Royal Mail. My vest is white. Dick Brunner for the Tate. Modern. It's a lovely little book, that one. It sold for £2. Yeah. I think you can get quite a bit more for that. But I sold it, man. Oh, it fits into one of those. Excellent. So that's what I'm going to use. And it's a Royal Mail. So we can quickly do that. Going to Emily. So let's get that written on it. And then we produce the QR code. Don't fall over. Yeah, that's a nice book, that one. Another kid's paperback. Hooray, it's first day! So, another bit of cards to be quickly cut. And let's see how we're shipping this one. Yeah, it's a label. Hooray, hooray, it's our first day. That's the song for the book. Exactly how it plays. Click that. Not that, you muppet, that. Thank you. And then we hit refresh. And grab a bag. Nail stick processes. Oh. See what we can cram in. Is this a normal days of sales? Just it's about 100 quid on Vinted. Less on eBay. Obviously I've only got the one eBay order to do at the moment, so it would seem much less. Is it a normal day? It's not far off of normal, to be honest. Usually, especially when I put up a load of kids' books. Let's just do this. Usually there'll be an awful lot more of these will go in bundles. It'll be a bundle of 4, a bundle of 10, a bundle of 15, a bundle of 6, whatever. I just said lots of different numbers there and put the word bundle around them. So it's a bit unusual to have so many single orders going out, especially after, like I say, all of those kids' books, because I don't do kids' books in that quantity every day. They were just beginning to really stack up, so I thought I'd better clear them down. So, it's a bit unusual. But, yeah. I'm not, bundles not just for the kids' books. More often than not, there'd be like a stack of 15 or 20, just like normal fiction-y type books going out. Not really the case today. Right. What else have we got? Hooray, it's our first day. Right, this bundle I do have here to go. Is it going to be? No, it's not Royal Mail. It's not Royal Mail. So I'll just try to slow me down now. That last book sold for £1. Did I say that? I can't remember, but it did. Oh, there's another bundle of 11 that's just sold, so that's what I'm talking about. But for now we're looking for a bundle of 5. 5 little books. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shipping label, printable. Yeah, a lot of these books have sold for £1 and £2 exactly. That's what I listed them for, and that's what they sold for. So again, that's a bit unusual. Normally in Vinted, the majority of sales would have gone via offers, such as this one. Let's just put my bubble wrap in the right place, and then I can drop these onto it. Bit of Usborne, things to go. Some necessities that are bare. More Funny Bones. Wee bit Julia D. And another My First Words book, this time it's Spanish. Español. Sí, señor. I don't know Spanish, just making that very, very clear. My brother lived there for a few years, but couldn't really afford to visit, so I didn't get a chance to go over and learn much of it myself. But he speaks it very well, still to this day. And that bundle of 5 sold for £6, which is alright. Why was it more than a fiver? Because they're all kids' books. Well, the Usborne books are usually quite popular, so I list them for a little bit more. The language books are usually a bit more popular, although that one was only listed for £1 because it's just a little bit tatty. But that'll have been like a £7 bundle potentially. Somebody's offered me like £6. I think that's what happened. I could check, can't be bothered. So £6 for 5 kids books, which if they cost me £1, suddenly makes that an okay sale. So you're making a fiver for very little effort. This one's going to Glasgow. And you know, 30 sales here for Vinted. If every single one of them was like that, then that's like £150 profit for what would be very little work. I mean, it's not like, oh, I can do that, knock that out in half an hour or anything, but for a few hours of listing and picking and packing, it wouldn't be too bad. Right, let's see if we can squeeze one more in just now, and then I'm going to go and head towards the Postalino and pick the rest of the orders. What comes next? Nope, that one needs picked. Alright, let's try and do this one. If it's Royal Mail, we'll get another one. Oh, it's not Royal Mail, man. It's not Royal Mail. So this might be the last one for now. But we'll show you anyway. There we go. Okay, pick up from the other day. Cross stitch. Scandinavian cross stitch designs. Picked up half a dozen of these just in a big pickup. And knitting, there's that guttural stop in the T. Knitting books, cross stitch and such. I always just pick them up. Sometimes they're good for a tenner. More often than not, they're just low end typical books. On eBay that will sell for £4 or £5. That's including postage. So on Vinted we got £2 for it, which is more profitable than selling it on eBay for the usual eBay price. And they're easy to list, and say if you can pick them up cheap, it's a great way of doing it. There's a lot of places, and places that I go to as well, that would be charging £2 for a book like that just off the shelf, which means it's not worth doing it. But if you can pick them up a bit cheaper, then it can be worth it. And there's quite a few places where they wouldn't even put that out on the shelf. You know, those types of books, they just chuck them. They go to the ragman, or they sell them all to your World of Books types people for a few pence for every 20 kilos. So it's worth trying to find access and opportunity to pick up such books. Print shipping label. Print. Print. Took ages. So wrapped up again. Ends protected. Into a bag. Bag. Like we're over an hour already. Sorry, dudes. this one on. And just keep flapping more gums. There's this one, Weebridge. They are going all over the place. I think I'm going to have to change out my ink cartridge after all. The blacks are beginning to look just a little bit grey. But when I take these to drop off, if the scanner don't work, I need to change the cartridge. And come back and reprint labels, which would be annoying. But it won't be the end of the world. And ink ain't cheap. So it's kind of worth it. Anyway, that's all I've got time to do just now. I'll come back and show you the rest of them in a little while. Round 2. So I've been and I've dropped off the parcels I already had. I've picked a few more orders and there's still quite a few to get through. This is going to end up a really long rambling video, so well done if you've made it this far. I mean, proper round of applause. I doubt you'll make it to the end. It'll just like drive you mad listening to me all this time. But regardless, I'm going to just carry on filming and talking about what I've sold, and we'll do some more of the Vinted, which starts with, here we go, for £5. Gene Wolfe, The Book of the New Sun, Volume 1, Shadow and Claw. Picked up a couple of copies of this lately, but I've got another one listed where it's Volume 1 and 2 together, because that was quite nice to find. But that's Volume 1 on its own, like I say, £5 for that. So shall we see how we're shipping it? Because that's the bit that seems to take all the time when I'm doing this. The actual shipping nonsense. Now we'll let Vinted load up whilst I grab some bubbles for this one. And it's a nice, very good condition. It's one that on eBay I would list it like new. On Vinted I just put it as very good. No point messing about with these things. Here we go. How's it going? It's a printable label. So we'll come over here, click some buttons. Clickety click, clickety click, clickety clickety click. And you know, you don't find these things all the time, but when you do, it's nice. And it's I work on the assumption that every book I pick up, when I do my big, just bulk pickups, that everything's going to sell for £1. So I might spend 50p on it, which means I'm going to make like 35, 40p if I'm lucky. Or I might spend 10p on it, which means that I'll make a bit more than that. But I work on the assumption that £1 is as good as I'm going to get. But that's never the case. There's always many which will sell for, just click a button here, it'll sell for £2, £5, £10, £20. Ones that you can make into sets so that they will sell for, a £5 for 3 or 15 for 5 or whatever it might be, and you get a wee bit extra value added in there. I'm going to change my printer label in a wee second as well. That'll be fun. And yeah, whilst that's printing off, let's look up the next one, which is going to be a Royal Mail. So let's just, actually that is faded. I'm going to change my printer label right now. By printer label I meant toner cartridge. Is it just sorting itself out? It's ready to go. Anyway, next. So that one went for £5. This one's gone for £7. So there's DVDs that are worth a couple of quid that you will find in the charity shops for 50p, £1, 10 for £1, whatever kind of deal they do. Even a couple of quid. That's one that's worth picking up. Hotel Paradiso. So Rick Mail. Yeah. I remember watching that and not thinking it was particularly good, but £7, so worth a grab if you can find it. Let's just reprint that label for the last one, and whilst we sort this one out, so a bit of bubbles inside to make sure the disc ain't flopping about. Is that? No, it's still the right settings. Thought the settings had changed on it. Yeah, always, if you're are picking up DVDs to make money on them, check and make sure that they're in good condition. It's easy enough to swap out cases if they're a bit bashed, but the inserts and the disc itself, try and make sure they're good. Every now and again I get caught out and it's just like, you know, pure bread and butter ones, like stacks of Disneys or Westerns or whatever it may be, that I've picked up, and there'll be no disc, or it'll be a 2-discer and there's only one in it, or once I actually look at it properly it'll turn out that it's all mugged up and scratched to hell. But for the most part, that's me losing 10p, and the speed at which you can pick them up kind of negates checking everything in store. Although, as you need to check it anyway, maybe you should. I don't know, it just seems easier to, for the most part, just to grab them all and go. But Royal Mail for Ricky Mail. Put them in there. So let's say the assumption is that everything's £1, but there you go, 2 sales, 12 quid for the 2 of them. So it just goes to show, doesn't it? This is going to the Garris RM. How do you spell that name? Doesn't really matter as long as it's an approximation, and then I know which label goes to it. I went to drop off earlier on, there was 2 Smiths. Thankfully one was a kid's book, which was a good size, and the other one wasn't. So that was alright, but yeah. Don't catch yourself out. Right, on to the next. Which is another DVD. Let's see if this is going by Royal Mail. Nope, this is a printy. Let's just go and find the printy one. Go to my orders. Orders. And we'll open that up. And we'll tell you it's a copy of Melancholia, Lars von Trier, £1. Now spectacular. Okay. But at 10p a disc, you know, even with VAT and all of these things, it's still a good few pence profit for however long it takes me to pack it up and go. And that's it done. All I've got to do is stick a label on it. You can see I say that, and then it takes me an age to get the label onto it. I need to remember not to talk when I'm facing away from the microphone, otherwise you can't hear what I'm saying, man. Print it, refresh it. Oh, it's a process, isn't it? It's a process. Let's have a wee look at what's coming next whilst that's running through the process. Ooh, that's another Royal Mail one. So let's get this one printing and we'll show you what that is. Right, so next up we're going to have Nazi Ghost Train by Greg Lewis. The courage and audacity of a small group of ordinary people were the last hope for hundreds who had risked all for the Allied cause. As they watched the railway station fill up with men and women, they pledged that the train would never reach Germany. They had the next few hours to work a miracle. So, true story book, always popular. That sold for £2, which is rather good. Let's sort out the shipping label for that. Whilst we do this for that. And who's it going to? It's somebody called Jacobs. £2 book. It's skinny-ish, so it's ideal for popping in one of these. Kind of the maximum size I would use a wee paddy one for. Put that there. And we will write on it. Now that's that done. Now I'm chucking these into the corner. If they can't survive that, then they ain't going to survive going through the shipping. So I don't mind dropping them down. They're going to get much worse treatment as they work through the machines and the various handlings of Royal Mail or InPost or whomever it might be. Oh, dang it, I meant to get some sellotape when I was out. And I forgot, should be enough here to see me through. There's all of these little stationery bits and bobs. The price of them can add up. So, you know, find the right bit. Tesco, 60p a roll. That is the cheapest I can find anywhere. I'm sure there are other options that I just haven't come across. But for me, that's the best I've got just now. Right, oops, don't even know if I snapped that. Let's snap it again. Right, a bundle of 11 items next. Let us see which bundle this is. Yes, it's that one. So I've got two big heavy books there that were sat on top of it. And this is going by Printy. So we'll get that opened up whilst we prepare to get them packed up. So kids' books, 11 quid for 11 books. Crocodile Under the Bed. Some more Funny Bones, Skeleton Crew. My Magic Family. I thought that was by somebody else. A bit of Corky Paul, Winnie the Witch. Some Julia, Princess Mirabelle. Dr. Zeus. A lot of these are just popular books that if you list a load of them, they will sell. You know, there's not many of these that people will not recognise some part of the titles. There you go, bit of Emily Brown. That's Cressida Cowell. And some Ziggy, a couple of Ziggy books. So that's 11 books for £11, which is rather nice. And kids' books, the most I ever pay for kids' books is really £5 for £1. So 11 books there, what's that, £2.20? £11 back, less the cost of my parcelling. So kind of £8.50 plus profit. That's all right. Again, if it was taking you an hour to source them, an hour to list them, an hour to pack them, then it really would not be worth it. But as it takes a couple of minutes within the sourcing to grab that lot, 10-15 minutes to list them and store them, and well, you've seen how long it takes to pack them, and this is slow protracted because I am blethering as I do it. These are worth grabbing. I see a lot of people on Vinted will, and I've tried it myself, you know, 10 kids books, 20 kids books, and they'll try to sell them for £5-6. So a really, really good deal. When I've tried that, they don't sell. They will sit forever, and occasionally one will pop out, usually on a very low ball offer. So you end up getting a couple of quid for 10, 15, 20 books, which isn't worth it. I found that it's much better just to list them all individually, which takes a bit more time. I mean, you save time on the listings if you do them in bundles. But if they ain't going to sell, what's that time saved? 10-15 minutes to list that lot instead of 2 or 3 minutes to list them as a bundle. And people can come in and choose their own 10 books. Again, I'm happy to take offers on these things. A lot of folk will just buy it for that price when they're only £1 each. But if somebody had come back and offered me, you know, less, I may well have accepted it. That's everything I list at, I assume, again, so everything's going to go for £1, and everything that I list, I assume that I'll end up accepting an offer about a third below what the asking price is. Sometimes, depending on what it is, I might go a little bit further than that. But again, working on that assumption, so a £3 or £4 discount on that lot, I would still have taken it because I'd still have made 5 or 6 quid. So, you know, think about these things when you're listing your bits and bobs. And try not to list it for the minimum that you can accept, because it's Vinted. People like to make offers. Right, we're going to have to scroll down a wee bit to find the next one. That was the orders that came in since I spoke to you last. We've got a bundle of five that we nearly went through earlier on, but didn't, and it's going in Royal Mail again. And it's a bundle of 5 for a £5. Unicornia. Unicornia. Folk of the Faraway Tree. These are popular at the moment. Movie's coming, or has come. And a couple of Little Mermaid Disney books. Again, always popular, and you can find these all the time. They are disregarded by many because they're cheap books. But if people can buy a nice wee bundle of Disneys or whatever, then they will. And I do still put bundles of Disney books up in bundles, just on the off chance to sell. Like I say, they rarely do. I invariably, after a couple of months, take down the listing and list them all individually, and you know, a quarter of them will sell for the same amount as I was trying to sell the entire bundle for. 'Tis strange, but 'tis the way. Anyway, let's get this half wrapped, and then we'll see what we're doing with the label. So back into my orders. Oh, that's right, it was Royal Mail, wasn't it? What size bag will this require? Let's not faff about and go straight to the baddies. So, nicely bubbled. Yes. Open the QR codes. Yes, we're doing this next bit. Off with its head. And wrong pen. I've got felt tips for writing on paper, and I've got my Sharpies for writing on parcels. When I get it wrong, I end up with ink smudged all over my hands. Oh, he's falling over. He's falling over. Right, that's another one done. And on to the next. Partner offer. So that was 5. Right, the two big books next. And these two sold for £1.5. Let's scroll down and find them on the printy label bit. There we go, a bundle of 2. 5 squids. Printy the labels. Refresh you the screen, and we've got Islamic designs. So where is it? British Museum. It's a patterns book essentially, and along with that we've got Snowflakes and Schnapps by Jane Lewis, which I'm assuming is a cooking book. Yes, Karelian Open Pies. Sounds like something out of Star Trek. This one's been sitting for a few weeks. It's got a little bit of dust on the top. Yeah, not anymore. Not anymore. We'll get our label for that. So, a £5 for these two, which often seems, oh, but they're big heavy books. You know, I will pick up some cookbooks. Slimming World, always. Other ones, if they look a wee bit different, a wee bit interesting, or it's something like, you know, an air fryer, a good looking air fryer book, because they will always sell, and they might only sell for a couple of quid, which is the case with that one. But if you're getting them for the right price, that's fine. They take up space, that's a definite. But if you're selling lots and lots of low value items, space is something you should have considered before you get started. You ain't going to earn a living from a bookcase unless you're really lucky and everything you pick up is worth, you know, £100. So you just got to do what you do, you know. But for the sake of that, a wee fiver. Maybe it cost me 50p to buy those 2 books. Probably less. A few pence in postage bag and bubble wrap. And a handful of minutes to list them, store them, pick them, pack them, post them. It's just, I can't say no. Right, after this, it's going to be, ooh, it's another biggish book. That's something else I found with Vinted. That cookbook, the Islamic one was very recently listed. The cookbook there, the Schnapps one, and the next one have been listed for several weeks. But yesterday, in part of what I did, I listed a couple of new cookbooks. So when those pop up and people go and look at them, it'll show my other cookbooks first in the items below, which is probably where those sales came from. Probably, might not be, but probably. And I've never worked out how to track that. So if you've got one thing of one type and it never sells, list something similar, or a couple of something similar, and that'll help refresh that one back up to the top as well, which I find works rather well. Right, what was this next one? Where we go? Let's see how it's getting shipped. It's another label printer. So let's get our label. Now we're doing that tight. It sold for a fiver. Again, on eBay it can sell for more, but they don't seem to sell very often at all, so that's why I just stuck it in Vinted. So the Roux brothers on patisserie. I think my brother-in-law trained with them. I think he did. I seem to remember hearing that somewhere. Anyway, that sold for a fiver. And Vinted has decided to die on me, which is not uncommon. It is one of the hazards that we face. Let's find it again. Where's it gone, man? There it is. One of the hazards of Vinted is the platform is not the most reliable. It's pretty damn good, don't get me wrong, but every now and again it just decides, nah, I'm not working this morning. I had that last week. I'd gone over to pick my orders out of storage, and that was the hour that Vinted had decided it just wasn't working on my phone app. Wasn't having it at all. Or on the laptop, I found out when I got back. So I couldn't pick any orders because I didn't know what the hell to pick. And had to go back again later in the day, which was annoying because that's like an extra hour out of my time, which I would rather avoid where possible. So that can be frustrating, and then sometimes it just won't produce labels, which again can be frustrating if your day has a structure to it and those things get thrown out. It's annoying. Let's just say it's annoying. But if you know it's coming, then it's not a surprise, it's not the end of the world. You just work around it. Do something else until you can do the thing you were going to do. It can disrupt your day slightly, but not massively. Print. Come on. Print. It's just a bit irritating, to be honest. And it nearly always happens when you've had a message from somebody with a thing. Can you ship this as soon as possible? I desperately need it. If I can't print labels, if I can't pick orders, if I can't use the app, sorry, no, it's going to take a day longer to get it in and out the door. But that's always when it happens. So if you get a message from somebody saying, please ship it as soon as possible, you know the platform's about to crash. That's what I think anyway. There's a van just pulled up outside. I wonder what they're delivering. This is my perch to see these things. Are they coming in here? Right, he's opened the back door. Yep, he's coming. It's a return. Yes, a return. I'll have a look at that in a second. That's one of the downsides of the Vinted as well. It happens far too often. And normally it's like a wee £1 sale, so it's no biggie. But you never know which ones are going to get returned. I'm just finishing this label. And that's a big parcel. So this could be a £20 order, it could be a £5 order. I need to open it up and have a wee look. Well, the good thing about the returns is you get to see how well your packages hold up in transit. So let's see what it is. It's an expired, so it's a case of somebody just hasn't bothered picking it up. This was quite an expensive order. Oh dear, dear, dear. Let's get the bubble wrap off it. Let's see if we can recall what each of these items sold for, and that will now have to be relisted and resold. Now, the good thing about this at least is with an eBay return, you've got to pay out the refund. With a Vinted return, you've never had the money, so you don't have to pay anything out. This was a cracking order. This was a good order. Right. We had a box set of Lord of the Rings, a rare copy of Lolita. I say that's one that sells all the time. Philip K. Dick, Ubik, Brian Greene, The Hidden Reality, and illustrated A Brief History of Time. That is at least a £20 order, but lots of scrap bubble wrap to use. So yeah, kind of annoying, let's be honest. So I'll get that lot listed again later on, so if anybody wants any of those books, they'll be listed probably by the time this video comes up. So yeah, have fun with that. Right, let's move on to the next orders. See what else we've got going out the door today. Right, we've done the Roo Brothers. So we've got a wee bundle of two next, which sold for £2. Let's start the label on those. It's not that one. It's not that one. It's that one. Yeah, so the people not picking up orders is it's annoying with Vinted because everybody loses out. But we've got two Peter Rabbit little board book peekaboo stories. They're actually really nice little books, and £2, £1 each. Again, just listed yesterday. So we'll get the shipping label started on them. How would you sell this for? I'll go back to that message in a minute. Let's get these printed first. Print. Print. And we'll let that do its magic whilst I wrap these up. And we'll see if we've got a return note for those parcels as well. Sometimes it's weeks before Vinted actually comes through and says, oh, these have been returned. And if you go into it before they've got that note, there's nothing you can do with it really. You can cancel the order, but that goes against you. I'm not cancelling the order. I'm waiting for the person who bought it to do their part and get rid of it all. I'm not ready to print that now. We'll use one of our little eBay bags for this, even though it's a Vinted sale. I don't really care what platform it's sold on when it comes to the packaging, as long as it's a good fit. That's fine by me. Plonk it in there, plonk it in there. And we'll stick this on the front. Oh, we're going to have a wee look and see what the offer is that I've received as well. It's for a bundle of 3 books, I think, so I don't know which bundle it is. I say mostly it's single books I list. but there are some that are worth bundling together, which are more likely to get the sale. More likely, not guaranteed. So let's see what it was. Go in there. Would you sell this for £10? Had it listed at 15. So it's the Sarah J. Maas, A Court of Thorns and Roses, a 3-book bundle. It's been there for a couple of weeks. As I said before, I expect offers of a third off. I had it listed for 15. They want to pay a tenner for it. Why not? I didn't pay any more for them, you know. So it's 60p worth of books if they actually pay it, which if you sell in vintage, you know, a lot of offers you get, people have put out 2 or 3 offers for something similar. If you don't respond in time or they get a better deal elsewhere, then that's just what will happen. No biggie. We'll wait and see. Anyway, next up for £2. Again, another author who's very popular at the moment, Jilly Cooper. We've got Jump. Sold a load of Jilly Cooper books of late. I mean, £2. Not crazy. You find them quite often, so just list them and sell them. Do I want to sit in that for an extra 2 or 3 weeks and off chance that I could get £3 or £4? No, I just want to get it listed yesterday, get it sold today, and get it shipped off and out the way. Free up space on the shelf, get the cash coming back in. You know, it's a business. And preferably not a storage business, even though it does often feel that way. Is this Royal Mail or normal labels? Did I even look? It's Royal Mail. Going to Angela. So, bit of Jilly Cooper. Into the bag. And we write on it. RM and a surname, which is how I keep track of these things. Get the shipping label, print the QR code, well, not print, open it, scan it into my photos, and on to the next one, which is one of the cookbooks that I put up that got the cookbook selling. It's a printy label though, so let's get that started, which means we go to orders, Pointless in the Royal Mail pile. Oh, keep nearly falling over, it's not very clever. And remind myself what it is I'm looking for. And scroll until I find the flaming thing. What Mummy Makes by Rebecca Wilson. It's a cookbook. And it's sold for £2. That. We've got the shipping label on its way. So, just as I said before, I can pick it up for a few pence. I will, so that I can sell it for a couple of quid, which I did. It's another of those that you can ask for more, but you might end up waiting weeks to get an extra £1. Just not worth it, you know. You want to sell stuff, well, in my opinion, unless it's something that's very rare, very unique, very exclusive, you want to just sell stuff for the best price you can, as quickly as you can. Quickly. If you've got a good steady supply, which I have at the moment, I mean, I've got a few thousand books backing up, waiting to be listed. I always keep that stock topped up very nicely, so that if things did suddenly dry up, I've got quite a wee chunk of stuff to keep the stores going, keep listings fresh, whilst I come up with a new source. So that's important. But whilst you've got that supply, there you go. I think about all the stuff that's offered to me, I take 10% of it. There's way more I could take. It's just down to space and getting things moving, and obviously cash flow. So I don't take too much, but there's an awful lot more I could take at the moment. We're talking probably, I mean, compared to what a lot of you reseller types will be spending on stock, it's probably not an awful lot, but £200 to £300 a week I'll spend on books, which is a lot of books when you're buying them cheap. I would love to buy 10 books for that. That would be great. And then just fast sales, treble, quadruple that money. As long as it was fast sales. That doesn't arise too often. There are certain things you should keep your eyes open for in doing that. A bit of retail arbitrage, I think they call it. Girls are amazing. £1. Yeah, the retail arbitrage. So the Bobaverse. Have you heard of the Bobaverse? Dungeon Crawler Carl. These popular books that different places release as special editions. So Broken Binding's a great example. Waterston's do an awful lot of them as well. If you can get these special editions, usually they sell out. So you might spend 20 quid on it, but within a couple of weeks you can sell it for 30. This is on Vinted I'm talking about. If you were to do that on eBay, you would lose money once you've paid your fees and your shipping. But on Vinted, you've got the potential to flip it and make a quick and easy tenner. It's not a bad way of doing it, but there's not a huge supply of these things, so it's not always going to work. And it's not every special edition produced by, there's the Fairy Loot books and all the rest of them. A lot of them lose value as soon as you buy them anyway. So although you could still sell it for a tenner, you've paid 15, 20, 25 pounds for them. So if you find it in the charity shop for £1, it's great to sell it for a tenner, but if you've paid 20 quid, that's pointless. But I have picked up a couple of copies of the Bobaverse books in their special editions. I keep my eyes peeled so that the second they're available, get them pre-ordered, which can be a year and a half in advance. And if you do it that way, you might actually get one. The Expanse series, I've got the first 3 books in special edition. Now that's for me, that's not for reselling, that was for me, because absolutely brilliant books, love them. And I had the next 3 pre-ordered, and they never showed. They got more orders than stock, and I was far enough down the pre-order that I missed out. So I've got the first 3 in that edition, and not the rest, which is really annoying, because to go out and get them now, it's going to cost me 30, 40, 50 pound a book, if you can even find them. But if you were wanting to do stuff for the whole resale side of it, and you were able to get them in, and you were paying 20, 25 pounds, and then you can sell them for 35, 45, 50 quid on Vinted, it's a nice wee turn. It's not to be sniffed at. So there are ways of doing these things that work out rather nice. Right, I need a bit of card for this one. There's a bit of card for that one. Girls are amazing. Looks like an Amazon book, but that's fine. It's sold for £1. It's more of the type of book that typically sells quite quickly. It's a kid's book, obviously. Paid pennies. Flip it fast for £1. We're all happy. Right. I'm running really low on the sellotape here. I do have my rules in place that when I'm down to the last X of something, I'll print the label. I get more. I thought I had another roll of sellotape sitting there, and I only realised I didn't this morning. So that's when I go out and buy another handful of them. And then once I'm down to hit the last roll, it takes me 5 minutes to go and get another one, so it's not problematic. It will run out right smack bang in the middle of using it and needing it. Right, we're getting through this. This is going to be my longest video ever by miles. Just because it is. It's the most words I've spoken in a day in quite some time. That's for sure. So I can get the chat out here instead of sitting talking to the television later on. I'm not mad. Just slightly isolated. Snip, snip, snip. I don't go out much. Through choice. That's right. Stick it down. Quite like this next one. It's a lovely big book. And it's sold for not a lovely big price. There we go. £2. £2 for Illustrated Macbeth. I've also got The Tempest. You know, it's not the play, it's just text telling the story. But it's rather nice. Part, obviously, of a series that needs a postage label printed. So we'll just get back to the start of that. And whilst that one's getting ready, we'll work out what the next one is. Next one's a good price as well. Oh, for God's sake, this is where Vinted is beginning to crash on me. Disappear for a split second and grab the bubble wrap so that we can wrap the Hubble Bubble Toil and Trouble tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow beats on this petty pace from day to day for the last recording time. And who'd have thought the old man to have had so much blood? That's pretty much all I know from Macbeth. And probably all of those were wrong. But, you know, I ain't the bard. Then we go and see Hamnet. It looks awful. I'm not quite sure why it's so raved about. The books always sells and has always been popular, but I don't really get it film-wise. It's probably really good, and I'm cutting my nose off to spite my face, but it just looks a bit. Oh, William, aren't you wonderful, William? I do love you so, William. Oh no, William, write a play, William. Oh, sorry, I'm totally waffling now. Get shipping label, print shipping label, get shipping label. How many times do you need to click a very similar button to get through these things? Refresh, because it still says get shipping label. And almost the final print shipping label button, only we have to then click print, and in a second, once that's finally loaded through, click print again. It's like, it's ridiculous. Not connected to printer. It says that far too often. So we'll just sit and go Humpty Dumpty Dumpty. Anyway, next one that's sold is The Ballad of Songbird and Snakes, Suzanne Collins, £7. So, nice wee hardcover. Is there anything special about it? I don't think so. No, it's first edition, but that's not uncommon with such a new book. So yeah, £7 for that one. I'll just get this printed off whilst we see how Suzanne is getting shipped. Let's see now. Yeah, it's another printy label one. So we'll get the printing started whilst we work on the next bit. My orders. God, such a long way around for a shortcut, this stuff. There's another sale. I'm scrolling a long way down to find them now. £7.20 actually that sold for. So yeah, there you go. £7.20 for a Suzanne Collins. And so another one that, you know, if you see it for a couple of quid, might be worth picking up. if you see it for a £5, it might not. Who knows? I had it listed for more than £7.20 because I don't list anything for £7.20. So it's obviously been an offer. But I don't know what it was originally listed for. It doesn't tell me that on the screen that I can see there. So let's click get shipping label anyway. Get this processing. There we go, another one for the pile. And we'll wrap up Suzanne whilst the computer's deciding what it's going to do about it. Oh yes, we've got all these different get and print shipping label things we have to do before we go any further. Print it. Come on. Print it. And then we wait. We wait and we wait. And wrap it up. Get a nice wee layer of bubble wrap on that one. Get it well protected. And the pricing on this, what would I have had to sell it for to make £7.20 back if I sold it on eBay? I'm guessing about £15. Because it's like £3 to post or post and packaging. Probably about £3 in fees. So it's maybe £6 or £7 that it would cost to sell it. So yeah, 13, 14 quid it would need to have sold for on eBay. Does it sell for that on eBay? I don't think it does. I think it's maybe a tenner. So it is more profitable on Vinted. Right, it's finally ready to print. So let's see, I've got a bundle of 2 next. I know that much. Let's just see what they sold for and how we're going to post them. We're nearly at the end of these, by the way. You'll be glad to hear. Well, if you're still here, you might not be glad to. I don't know. Don't know why you watch these. £3 for 2 Barbara Kingsolver books. The Lacuna and what's that one? Flight Behaviour. So, there we go. That's quite nice. I'm sure I've got some more of her books kicking about. Demon Copperhead. That sounds familiar. So another pretty generic type of book that people want to read. I might have listed them both at £1.50 each. There might have been one for £2, one for £1. I don't know. Maybe they were £2 each and I've taken an offer. But the short version is maybe paid 50p and I get £3 back. That's the important point. Let's get in and swipe up for Face ID. Why do you not recognise me there? Let's go and print our labels for this one. And we'll hit the last couple of Vinted orders. Oof, that's a long way down. There we go, bundle of 2 for £3. And it's another printy label. Let's see where it goes. So, who else is selling books, man? Is anybody else doing this? But all you do is sell books. Well, I sell DVDs as well, obviously, and I do have a couple of CDs listed and the very occasional like board game or something, but they are tiny percentage of what I've got, and usually because they were just mixed in with other lots that I've picked up. For example, a bag of books I grabbed on Sunday, possibly Sunday. There was a stack of D&D books in it, so it's kind of basically 2 Dungeons and Dragons sets, but no dice, no boxes, just the booklets, the paperworks, the cut out cards, all of those things. So that's not a book, but still papery stuff, so I've listed it. But for the most part, it's books. Who else just sells books, other than obviously those with 3 million, 30 million, whatever it is, titles listed. I'm not talking about those people. We know they're big businesses, but who tries to make any kind of a living, part-time, holiday pay, whatever it is, just selling run-of-the-mill books? Is anyone else that stupid? I hope you have more success than me, and that it's not stupidity. I'm just not quite doing it right to make £1 million selling £100 worth of books every day. Now that works. There's arithmetic in there somewhere that I am missing out on horribly. And we've got 1, 2, I think we've got 3 more Vinted orders. Another one has come in, but yeah, I'll deal with that later. That's now spectacular, just like most of these. Amy, you're getting this one. We've got an intriguing surname, which I haven't even going to try and pronounce, because I'm sure you don't want your name blasted all over YouTube. But you're getting these anyway. That on there. Oh, I keep thinking I've reached the end. We only need a couple more out of it. A couple more. And oh, there's the Sarah J Maas one sold as well. That's another 2 sales that have come in. People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. The book. That sold for £1.50. So it's one of those that I had listed at 2. Took an offer for £1.50. And now we need to obviously get the label. Which, the later in the day it gets, the brighter the light behind my screen is, and the more difficult it is to see what the heck I'm doing. I'm going to wrap that one. I'm not going to bag it. Well, I'm going to bag it, but I mean I'm not going to use a poly. I'm going to use a baggy rather than a poly baggy. A bubble wrap baggy. Do I know what I'm talking about? Most of the time, no. Click, click, click. Let's keep it going. And we'll get it wrapped up. So Emily Henry, a Netflix film book, which usually helps them do a little bit better. She is popular, and we're getting into holiday weather, so these types of books tend to sell a little bit quicker, and you might get an extra 20p on them than you would if you were to try and sell them in the middle of the winter. We just try and make what we make. And I'm saying, right, 2 to go on Vinted. And I'm going to click printy on that one, keep it moving. We've got The King Beyond the Gate by David Gemmell, which sold for £2. So pick up from that fantasy bundle. And we've got a bundle of 9 DVDs. It's actually more than 9 because there was a bundle within the bundle. It's nearly all Tom and Jerry. 3 of 1 discs, what somebody's asking for. I know some of the Tom and Jerry ones do okay, but I'm quite happy just to take the sale. So there's 13 DVDs there for £8. So it cost me £1.30. I get £8 back on them. Obviously, I've had a wee bit of a VAT bit in there as well. Anyway, I'm going to pause you. I'm going to get these 2 orders packed up, and then I'll very quickly show you my eBay sales and let you go. eBay! Right. eBay is becoming less and less profitable all the time. There's absolutely no doubt about it. I keep selling on eBay simply because I do not want all my eggs in one basket. I say Vinted can have issues, and if it was to go down, I would be completely scuppered. eBay has issues. If it was to go down and that was all I had, I would be scuppered, and I've suffered from these things in the past. I had not been doing as much on Vinted for a few weeks for various reasons, and then I had my DPD delivery issue and eBay sales stopped. So there was a chunk of time in there where there was pretty much zero profit coming into the business. That's slowly recovering. But on eBay, there's really a lot less profit, even though you're selling at much, much higher prices. It doesn't make any sense. So, for example, we have 5 Patricia Cornwall books, so 4 hardcovers and a paperback. After I've paid all my fees, I'll get £9.70 back from eBay on that one, and it's going to cost me at least a fiver to post, so maybe £4 to £5 profit on those 5 books, which is okay, but on Vinted it could have been £5 to £8 profit by selling them separately. So it's not far off of what the Vinted is, but only making a fiver off of a £15 sale. It seems a bit ridiculous. Anyway, that's the first one. There's a bit of a trend with that today as well. Next, I mean, why don't you sell them for more? Well, they don't sell. It's as simple as that. You're competing with big sellers who can do a hell of a lot. So this order total was £13.30. eBay will take £9. Well, will take £3 something off of that. I get £9.51 back. And again, this will be a fiver plus to post. So 4 Michael Connolly's and a wee Andy McNabb sandwiched in between. These all go from multi-listings. The advantage of them is they're really quick and easy to keep those listings updated as you get new books in. So you win on that side. But that's going to be £3 to £4 profit. And that's depending where it gets posted to. Do we have a postage address? Where's it going? Thankfully, it is not going to Highlands and Islands as soon as it goes up north, which I don't mind. But it'll cost me £7 plus to post that instead of about a fiver. So it would have been a couple of quid profit. And that happens far too often. So £4, £5 profit. It's cost me a quid or so to get those books. It's really pretty lame. This next one is hopefully a little bit better. What have we got? So £12.10 sale, after fees £8.39, and it's 5 Santa Montieri paperback books. Again, £3 plus to get those posted. They should be under 2 kilos, so it'll be a Royal Mail effort on that one. So about a fiver back off of those 5 books, which again, it's similar to the Vinted and they're easier to deal with, but for the value of the sale, it's no good. If I'd sold them in Vinted, they would have been £1 each, so I'd have made my fiver, which is fine. The buyer would have paid another £1 or so in fees and a couple of quid, £3 in postage, so they would have saved about £5 buying it on Vinted than they would have on eBay. And that just shows you how much the eBay fees really are on these things. I'm still making roughly the same money, but there's the risk that it could be significantly less depending on the postage, and it's costing the buyers a heck of a lot more, which will be the same with this one, which again is thankfully a mainland type UK thingamajig. This order value is £12.70, which means I get £8.85, and it's going to cost me £5.20ish to get that posted. So £3 odd profit on 5 books. That's not good. That is not good eBay at all. Again, there would be a wee bit more on Vinted, maybe make an extra couple of quid. It would take longer to list them, blah 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 blah. But for a nearly £13 sale, making £3, it's not good. And again, somebody would have bought that for, assuming £1 a book, even £2 for the hardcover, £8-9 for that bundle on Vinted, which is where Vinted wins. This last one little single book, which is Material Girls by Kathleen Stock. Why Feminism Why reality matters for feminism. Let's get that right. That sold for £7, of which I'll get £5.03 back. £2.70 to post it, assuming again that it's kind of mainlandish UK, which it is. So on that, I made a couple of quid. That's okay. That's probably a wee bit more than I would have made for it if I'd sold it through Vinted. But on Vinted, that would have been £2 or £3, plus roughly the same in postage and fees. So it would have cost them about £7 on Vinted. It cost them £7 on eBay. So maybe at those ones, it's much of a muchness. But for the rest of it, it's really, there's not an awful lot of value in selling on eBay, if I'm being perfectly honest. It really is just a case of not having all my eggs in one basket. So 10, 20, 30, 40, £60 of sales on eBay, which is absolutely mince, let's be honest, in itself. It was a very quiet, there's been a couple of quiet days on eBay anyway. Without Vinted, it would be sunk. I've not changed what I'm doing on eBay. What I do on eBay used to make me, was it £270 a day in sales? Now it's about £200 a day less than that. And it's come down before, and then it creeps up a wee bit, and then it comes down even further. The fees go up, postage costs go up, and it just eats into that and eats into that. So eBay is definitely not the best platform for me at the moment. If I had millions of books and 50 copies of that, they would all be on eBay, absolutely guaranteed. And that's what I do with my multi-listings. My Linda LaPlante listing, I can just go in and add titles to that super quick. So that's fine, but it's really not very profitable at the moment, and it is not best value for the customer. Let's be honest, if you're buying these things on eBay, look on other sites, check other places, you might save yourself a couple of quid. And we're not talking about £3.79 compared to £3.50. We're talking about £8 compared to £13, £14, £15. It's a big difference, and that difference is not going into a seller's pocket to support their business. It's going to eBay. It's going straight up the ladder to the super rich and wealthy, which we all want to avoid wherever possible. They take enough of our money. Let's try and keep the money circulating where it actually needs to be, i.e. with normal folks. I'm sure the Pope's got more than a few quid. Keep it with the normal folks, and Vinted supports that so much more. More of what you spend will stay with the businesses, the individuals that you're buying it from, rather than eBay, where it's all scooting up the ladder. Fair enough, some of it's going in postage, but if it's going Royal Mail, who owns Royal Mail? Don't know even in the UK anymore. Is it Lithuanian? Something like that. Anyway, enough of all that. That is all of today's orders. If you have made it this far, why? Why are you still here? Thank you so much for watching it all. I'm sure there's been a few adverts which will have made me a couple of pence as well, which is always nice. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Bye! There's a button.